Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be sharing a little known story from the high desert, one of which you probably didn't even know existed because all of the buildings are gone and there's almost no signs of it from the past. It is one about Murray Ranch, aka Overall Wearing Dude Ranch, aka the only Negro Dude Ranch in the world. And it is here at the corner of Waleew and Dale Evans Parkway here in Apple Valley, California. So it all started back in 1903 with the Forum, or a civic club that began in Los Angeles that endeavored to convince ordinary laborers of the need to become landowners. They actually sought out black families to homestead on government land here in the Bell Mountain area. Now, the Cooks were some of the first groups here in Bell Mountain, and they met Noli and Leela Murray in Los Angeles. Now, Cook offered Leela and Noli Murray this 40-acre parcel of land at the corner of Waleew and Dale Evans Parkway for free, but due to some business issues, they ended up paying $100 for this 40-acre plot, and they began moving to the property in 1922. Now, Noli still worked in Los Angeles, so he left his wife Leela Murray to work the property here up in Apple Valley, which was primarily a chicken farm at the time. But they did have big dreams of creating a black boys' town up here on the property. And eventually, Noli came up here to work full-time on the property. So by the end of the 1930s, the ranch had about 20 buildings, a pool, tennis courts, stables, a dining hall, and even a baseball diamond. And actually the ranch catered to young black children who were sent here to the ranch by the courts. Eventually, though, the Murrays had some financial troubles and started to convert the property into a dude ranch in order to try and pay off some of their debts and save their property. So we'll fast forward to 1934 when the Victorville Chamber of Commerce began sponsoring rodeos up here in the high desert area. They received an impressive 6,000 people in attendance in their first year, with 10,000 people in their second. Now keep in mind, the city up here only had 2,000 people as official residents, so that was a huge pull from the local area. So during these rodeos, celebrities were invited up to the community, including boxing champion Joe Louis. He had heard of the Murray Ranch up here, but decided to pay them a visit while he was up here. It just so happens that Life magazine was here covering the rodeos at the same time that Joe Louis was here visiting the Murray Ranch. So in the November 15th, 1937 issue of Life magazine, the Murray Ranch had a feature in it, and it brought tons of people here in the future. So after Joe Louis's visit, the Murrays' financial problems began to fade away. And the ranch offered a variety of activities, including horseback riding, softball, tennis, and even hunting. Now, during the course of this ranch, numerous movies were filmed here, including a popular one called The Bronze Buckaroo, where you can actually see Bell Mountain in many of the shots. There's even a gun battle at the end of the movie that took place in the Sycamore Rocks neighborhood, which is just a few miles to the east. Now, something important to note that's kind of a touchy subject is that there were actually numerous National Guard soldiers here in the area guarding bridges, and they happened to be black soldiers. Now, they tried to find a place in town to go entertain themselves after they were off shift, but they couldn't find a place because they were refused by local business owners because of the color of their skin. So they were welcomed at Murray Ranch. So not only were the guests racially integrated, but the staff was too, and it was known as a place to come together up here in the high desert. So in 1939, the Murrays even had their very first Easter sunrise service up on Catholic Hill, which is just to the southwest. They had a white cross that was erected and illuminated from behind, and they even brought up a piano by hand to the very top for music. Then unfortunately, in March of 1949, Leela Murray passed away. They even named a recreation center after Leela Murray up on the corner of Dale Evans Parkway and Quarry Road that included a 10-acre recreation center. This building still exists today and has actually been converted into a home. In 1955, Noli Murray finally found a buyer for the now run-down ranch, and that was none other than Pearl Bailey, the actress from Porgy and Bess, and her husband, Lewis Belson. Noli knew that he only wanted to sell 35 of the 40 acres because he wanted to keep 5 acres of it for himself to quote-unquote die on and live out his last days. So after the sale went through, everything was going smoothly, but unfortunately Pearl Bailey did not keep up her end of the bargain and keep the boys' town going on the property. Now eventually they did rename it to the Lazy Bee Ranch, and when asked what that means, Pearl stated that it's because people would drive by and ask what those lazy were doing up on the ranch. Because of the poor conditions of the ranch, Pearl ended up having to do quite a bit of work to the ranch, including major upgrades and even planting Arizona cypress trees or tamarisk trees, which you can still see around the property to this day. Now, Murray and Callie, his newly married new wife, moved to the corner 5-acre lot, which is right on the corner of Waleew and Dale Evans. And they built another swimming pool and put up cottages with kitchenettes, which were eventually called Murray's Desert Heart Motel. Then, unfortunately, Noli passed away in June of 1958 from a heart condition. Then shortly after that, Pearl had her nephew, Bill Lewis, and his wife and their 3 children up to the ranch. Now, Pearl and Lewis had a small property built here for themselves on the property and left the rest to Bill and his children and wife. And Bill even rented out Murray's little cottages here in the corner to airmen from the local George Air Force Base. They actually sold the property in the 80s, and it was converted to a weightlifting gymnasium of all things. So at some point, the Murray Ranch became super infested with brown recluse spiders, so much so that a visitor actually got bit and caused some legal problems. So they worked out a deal with the Apple Valley Fire Department Captain Art Bishop to burn it down in a training event where the firefighters could get some training and the very dilapidated and out-of-code buildings could be taken care of properly. Now, there's actually very little on the property to show any sign of what used to be here. The only 2 real things are this foundation, which is on the main 35-acre portion, as well as the Arizona cypress or tamarisk trees that exist scattered throughout the property. So all in all, very interesting history lesson of something that most people here didn't know actually existed. So when you pass by Dale Evans and Waleew Parkway, make sure to take a look and see what kind of history you never knew existed here in Apple Valley, California.